views, and opinions. Yes, we are in the dark, but we're bringing it to the light. I am Romeo.
That's what we're doing. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm Brooke, and luckily you can see the beautiful Demi.
I have brought the light. I'm Demi Lovo.
All shine is on you right now.
Hello, okay. All right, let's go to some video. On today's show, a jury in North Carolina just ruled 2 black men are owed $75 million for wrongful convictions. We're going to break down what happened. Plus, we have details on a police reform bill that just passed this Texas State House with bipartisan support. And South Carolina's governor takes a big step to restart the state's death penalty.
Also, Oklahoma's governor was booted from Tulsa Race Massacre Commission. Former NFL players demand league end controversial race norming practice, and a child reporter who interviewed President Barack Obama dies at age 23.
Can you see us now? We are here. We have all that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth, so let's talk about it.
All right, here are your headlines for the day. The Columbus, Ohio city attorney says the city will pay a $10 million settlement to Andre Hill's family. You'll remember a police officer shot and killed Hill back in December as he walked out of a garage holding his cell phone. This is the largest settlement of its kind in Columbus history. Adam Coy is the former officer who shot Hill. Coy has been arrested and charged with murder and reckless homicide. He has pleaded not guilty. You know, when people talk about qualified immunity, right, that's a big talking point for a lot of people that are focused on some form of police reform. And again, you know, we've had the mayor of Inglewood on saying that that is something that's a risk that he doesn't feel police officers should have to take. But in turn, it becomes a risk that taxpayers have to take.
Yeah, that
because,
is so true.
you know, again, we're seeing for the second time just in this short year so far, it has felt really long, but just in this short year so far, we're seeing 2 history-making civil settlements out of police brutality cases.
Yeah, we are. If you think about it, Breonna Taylor's family got $12 million. No justice there. Can't bring her back to life. Tamir Wright, $6 million, right? If we want to go back a little further, and you just spoke on George Floyd, you can't put a price on black people's head. That's the problem, and that's the thing I want to bring to the front of, because you think about it. I know you're out there, you have a job to do, you want to get home safe to your family. I'm speaking to police officers, not saying all police officers are bad, not saying no one's perfect, but in this particular case, it's happened way too many times to us, and we end up getting a check to say, hey, you know what, will this cover it? No, it won't.
Right. You know what, you guys make great points. It's just really a shame, honestly, to hear that, hey, it's me, I'm here. It's really a shame to, you know, to see that these police that we would rather, like you said, Romeo and Brooke, put a price tag, you know, pay out a settlement versus then to deal, you know, with the actual corruption that's going on in the police department. There was a conversation that erupted online today because a lot of people were talking about how it's not fair for taxpayers to have to pay these settlements versus, you know, like I said, like having, you know, there be accountability for the police officers. Another suggestion that someone said, I just want to read, someone on Twitter said, you know what, we should have officers carry their own liability insurance, and so that way it makes them responsible and they have to pay the settlements versus taxpayers having to be responsible for that money.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of money the taxpayers are paying, and you know, if this money was there or available, it could be used for so many other positive things. This is so unfortunate. All right, a jury in North Carolina federal civil rights case has awarded $75 million to 2 black intellectually disabled half-brothers who spent decades behind bars after being wrongfully convicted in the 1983 rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl. The 8-person jury on Friday decided Henry McCollum and Leon Brown should receive $31 million each in compensatory damages, $1 million for every year spent in prison, the News and Observer reported. The jury also awarded them $13 million in punitive damages. The 2 were released from prison in 2014 after DNA evidence that pointed to a convicted murder exonerated them. They were teenagers when they were accused of the crime, which happened in Red Springs, Robeson County. McCollum was then 19 and Brown was 15. Both were convicted and sentenced to death. You know, these are 2 young men. First of all, we're happy they are alive, right? Yes. But they spent so many years behind prison that they've lost and they can't get back. You know, maybe trying to raise a family or being with their loved ones. And you have to understand, during this time, they were young. And the whole time they were behind bars, they said they were coerced into this testimony that they gave, into the evidence that they gave by the police officers. So they felt pressured. And that's what got them behind bars. It wasn't the crime because they did not do the crime.
Yeah. I was reading that McCullum, one of the brothers, he spent the majority of his 31 years in prison on death row. He actually became North Carolina's longest serving death row inmate, which was interesting. And so he did a story the other day, an interview, where he said, I've got my freedom. But then he also said there's still a lot of innocent people in prison today that don't deserve to be there. And so it's just really sad to hear this. The other brother actually suffers from mental health conditions, as a result of having to be in jail for so long. And so it's just really sad to see, one, that we have people that honestly might not even need to be in jail, in death row. That's another whole conversation for another day. But it was just really sad for him to say, I've got my freedom. But really, do you? Are you really free? Because one has mental health, you have this money, but then, like you said, Rome, you cannot get that time back that you had to spend in jail when you were wrongfully there. It's really sad to hear that.
The biggest question is, how close are these two men to being executed? How close were they to losing their lives for something that they didn't do, let alone the fact that they lost years and years of their lives? And also, prison is not easy for anybody. Yeah. It's almost, in this country, designed that way. You've got how many different Supreme Court rulings have we had come down, or federal court rulings come down, determining that some aspect was considered cruel and unusual punishment and needed to be switched. And so you think about the idea that they suffered that trauma and they were wrongfully convicted in the first place. It's a horror story, and there's nothing good about it. You want to just make sure that there are, safeties in place when it comes to the prosecution of this, when it comes to the trial, in hopes that things like this start happening less. I don't know if we can even realistically say that, they won't ever happen, and that's awful.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said, you think about it, they're behind bars, 31 years, and they're not knowing what day someone could come and say, okay, today is your day, because you are on death row. This is the end. And knowing you didn't commit the crime, so just living with that, so I was happy that they're out, but still.
Brooke, that was really great too. How close were they? That was really powerful that you said that, because when he said he has freedom, I'm sure that was, the good outweighed the bad, could have been. All right, so moving right along here, the commission formed to observe the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre announced Friday that it had booted Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt from his seat on the panel a week after he signed a bill outlawing the teaching of some race and racism concepts in public schools. A statement from the commission did not indicate the reason for the parting, and a spokesperson said that the commission had no further comment. The commission was formed to organize events for the anniversary of the massacre that occurred May 31st and June 1st in 1921. A white mob killed an estimated 300 people and wounded 800 while burning 30 blocks of black-owned businesses and homes and neighborhood churches in Tulsa's Greenwood neighborhood, also known as Black Wall Street. Planes were even used to drop explosives on the area, burning it to the ground. I just want to touch on really quick about, because a lot of people are getting online, we're talking about, erasing the history, erasing more specifically Black history. There, we've had so many different stories right here within the last couple of weeks about, different lawmakers trying to remove Black history from schools. And so the reality of it is that you can erase the Black history, or attempt to erase the Black history from the schools, but that doesn't erase the facts. The facts are still there. And so you have these, children, non-Black children that will grow up not knowing what really happened. And they don't know, they become conflicted because they don't know, am I an oppressor? Am I not an oppressor? And it's let's keep the history there. It happened, right? And so why do we want to remove what actually happened? The facts are the facts.
Yeah. I feel like it should be taught. You think about during this time, it was a time of unity and Black people coming together, showing that we can build and have our own. And they just took it away from us. And one thing I learned today, I got educated. That last line about the planes dropping fire bombs or something of that nature on that, that's horrifying. So this is horrible history, but it has to be told because people should know still what we went through and what we're still going through today.
And, I say it all the time. I'm from Oklahoma. I'm from right outside of Tulsa. Tulsa's our big city, Muskogee, where I'm from. And, something that people didn't learn in school, they learned because of Charlie Wilson. The Gap Band, GAP, stands for three streets in North Tulsa: Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. And obviously the song, You Dropped a Bomb on Me, it's about the Tulsa Race Massacre. And so you have people learning about their own history from a singer, an iconic singer. But when it's something that they should have learned in school, and just to think about where we are in society, where a commission that is specifically in place, right? Simply in place just to study how we handle our history here, the facts, that what is happening politically is so bad and so twisted that this commission, based on facts, has decided the leader of the entire state is harmful. It's harmful to have him be a part of it. That's, you know, that's terrifying when you think of different laws. And it's just, you know, we're going to be absolutely watching this story, and we're going to keep talking about it because, you know, to a certain extent, these are the only places you'll hear about it.
That's true.
All right, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has signed a bill requiring death row inmates to choose between a firing squad or the electric chair. As the AP reports, it's been 10 years since South Carolina executed an inmate on death row, and lawmakers say the pause has been involuntary because pharmaceutical companies have refused to sell states the drugs to carry out lethal injections. According to data from the Death Penalty Information Center, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Utah all allow firing squads to carry out executions. And so, you know, you think about this, right? And you hear this, and it's the idea that, you know, this is a dire situation. We've got to we've got to start this back. We've waited too long. But I want to show you a stat. Just in the years since, I think, 1976, when the Supreme Court ruled that states could begin carrying out the death penalty, 12 states decided, no, we're not going to do it at that point. And over the years since then, none of those states have had higher rates of homicides compared to the states that did. And so, you know, the question for a lot of criminal justice advocates is, what is even the point of this? You know, you've got the one question, we took us back to the second story that we had in the show today about, you know, the fear that there could be other people currently on death row, that there could be people that are executed. But also, well, what is the point if it's not a true deterrent?
You know, for me, guys, it's something, you know, first I want to just, you know, start off with, there's someone's mother, aunt, you know, as you know, there are, you know, murderers, rapists that are on death row. So this is not to take away from anyone's, you know, mother, sister, aunt that could be, that could have been a victim of someone's heinous crime. But for some reason, it is something just terribly cringe about allowing a person to be set on fire in 2021. It is just something, I don't know what it is about that particular method that just does not, it just, I don't know what it is about that, but, you know, because also the other reality is that these were a replacement from lethal injection. So why are we going backwards? It kind of feels like, right? Why are we doubling back on something that was already removed? Why do we need to do that? But also the Democrats in the House, they also suggested a change to the bill that I want to bring to you guys' attention. They wanted to suggest, it was not approved, by the way, they wanted to suggest a live streaming the executions on the internet and also requiring lawmakers to attend the execution. So I thought that was very interesting because, I mean, giving the opportunity, I would not watch it, but I mean, I feel like that it would just bring so much outrage, and it could potentially change, you know, bring change if people have the opportunity to watch this. And also making this lawmakers, you voted for this, okay, you pull up to the execution and you watch this and see how you can sleep at night, you know? So for some reason, I thought that they were, like I said, they weren't approved. I thought that was very interesting because I honestly feel like another thing, like if you have lawmakers, they're required, you wanted to have this, now you have to go see it. I feel like it might make them have a change of heart if that was something that they were required to do.
Right. And then real quick, there were 3 inmates that's where you put to death, but they chose lethal injection, which is no longer available there, so they can't be put to death. And imagine some people even commenting saying maybe the victim's family should get to choose how they die. I was like, yo, that's deep right there. But I mean, some people are for this and some people are not, obviously.